What is up? You are watching the Retro Video Game Podcast, and this is the second podcast, and what we're really going to do is talk about some cool things and let you guys know what I've been picking up, what games I'm interested in that are coming out, some crazy things that are happening live right now or within the past week that I am missing, and hopefully this will turn into a weekly podcast that happens every Monday. I will release it out to you guys, and you guys will see what is happening kind of in my life when it comes to the gaming aspect, as well as things that I think are interesting, whether it's games or topics, or kind of things that have happened in the last week. And honestly, we've got some cool things here in this lineup. We've got it stacked for some really cool stuff, and I am very much excited about what we have going on here. I want to show you kind of my pickups, the games that I want to talk about that are releasing this week. Now, some of those are just DLC, some are actual full-blown games, and other games are just new games that are coming out. I put 3 on there for you guys to know about and see if you're interested about. I talk about the 2DS for some reason. If you didn't know, you'll figure that out later. Talked about the Nintendo Switch a bunch, some new games, and then we'll wrap it up with some Popeyes drama, because Popeyes is hilarious, and this past week or two, or 3 or 4 weeks have been very interesting for Popeyes, and for some reason, Popeyes has really started to take off, and I think that's quite hilarious. Now, what we're going to do is talk about some recent pickups here first. If you watched my recent video about going flea market hunting, you probably saw most of these, if not all of these, but I figured I had them. They were good recent pickups. Now, I'm not showing you everything there, but I will say these are some of those games that I picked up that I thought were very interesting or something like that. So these are the recent pickups, and what I'll do is probably take a picture of these that I have kind of curated here for this podcast and put them on my Instagram later. For those who want to see them and more up close and more detail. If you're listening, you won't be able to see it, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can obviously see it, but I'll put that out there for everyone. We'll kind of roll into the recent pickups and then kind of go down the list, because I got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about, and I want to know what you guys think about this as well. So if I hit up any topic and you're interested, or you have something to say, go ahead and comment down below, or hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, however you want to do it that way. So, recent pickups, I recently went to the flea market, like I said, and I ended up picking up this Sega Master System controller. Now, I had a Sega Master System already, but I did not have the controller, and I really wanted to be able to play this properly. That D-pad is just weird looking, and I wanted to see kind of how this compared to the actual NES controller, which this looks like a direct ripoff from, but I've picked it up for $13, it says. I'd like to say I paid like $11 for it, because I bundled this with some other things that I'll show you in just a little bit. But I was super, super duper stoked to have gotten this controller, because I wanted one of these. I had been using a Sega Genesis controller, and you can use it if you mod them with your Sega Master System, but I figured I actually want to get my hands on one of these, and now I picked it up from someone that actually watches the channel, so if you're out there, shout outs to that. You gave me a good deal. I'm very happy about that. So that is kind of my first pickup. What we're going to do is kind of move on to the next one, which is kind of ridiculous, but it is Austin Powers, Welcome to the Underground Lair, on the Game Boy Color, boxed and sealed. So I saw this, and it was ridiculous. If you know Austin Powers, you know it's ridiculous. It's got Dr. Evil on the front, and it's a Rockstar game, which is actually kind of interesting to me. But what I figured it out is $5. I figured I'd pick this bad boy up. It's still sealed and has that H seam, and honestly, I don't know if I'll ever even find this game again, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Normally, I try not to pick up sealed games if I can't play them. They're kind of not as fun for me, but if they're a good deal or worth it, I'll definitely pick it up. And this is one that definitely was worth it. And going back to kind of talk about the Sega Master System controller, I got some VHSs with that, and the first one is this Banjo-Kazooie release VHS. It says the new adventure begins June 29th, 1998, and it actually looks like a Nintendo 64 box, and it's very interesting to see these. Now, I looked, and yes, this does have Banjo-Kazooie on it. What I'll probably do is, hopefully, I'll probably put it up on this TV that I have and show it while I'm doing something, or somehow I'll use it later on in the future. And going along with that, I also picked up Diddy Kong Racing, the Nintendo 64 VHS tape as well. Now, it just says Diddy Kong Racing, a wild racing adventure. It says get ready on the back. It very much looks like the game on the box, on the corners and whatnot, on the sides. So that is another pickup that was very awesome. Both of those were $2 a piece, equivocally. So $2 a piece for VHS games that I absolutely never ever see. That's totally worth it, and I'm gonna pick that up. And last but not least is Ninja Gaiden. Now, this is on the Xbox, and I picked it up, and it was not complete. It's missing the manual, but that is okay, because I talked to one of my friends, actually, about this. He watched the video, and we talked yesterday, I believe. He said, hey, I love that game. It's very hard. It's one of those games that really, really pushed the Xbox, and he said it was killing Xboxes because people would play this too much and it would just destroy it. So I wanted to talk about that because that's something I actually didn't know. I didn't know too much about this game other than it was released on the system. Now, I had told him I hadn't played this game, but I had played the NES versions of Ninja Gaiden, so that is something I thought about, and I saw this as one of those games that I needed to talk about because I want to play it, I want to try it, I want to see what it's about, just because I don't know anything about it, but also I've heard it's hard, and it's a very taxing system, or taxing game on the system. I heard it looks good, so that is something that is very important for me, especially when it's on the Xbox. You're going to get some cool games. I'm very excited about that, so I figured I would talk about that while I could. Now what we're going to do is move straight over to the games releasing this week. And I picked up 3 games that I thought you guys should know about, or at least kind of have a heads up about that these are releasing this week. Maybe check them out if you're interested. The first one is Spyro Reignited, which is coming out tomorrow, September 3rd. If you're watching this on the 2nd here when I release it, it'll be tomorrow. If not, it'll be already released probably. And that is on the Nintendo Switch. Sorry, my throat has been really dry lately. The weather and the allergies have really been killing me. So I'll probably stop a few times to take a drink. Don't mind me. But I'll continue to go. Spyro Reignited Trilogy. I had just picked that up last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, on the Xbox One. So I'm not going to pick it up on the Switch here because it was so much cheaper. I want to say I spent like $8 or $10, maybe less than that, on Spyro Reignited. So that is something that I definitely really wanted to kind of bring up is, yes, this is coming on the Switch, and if you want this to take it with you anywhere, the Switch is definitely where you got to get it. But if you want to get it at a discounted price, go ahead and pick it up on the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4, and you will be able to save money that way. Excuse me. The next game on here is Monster Hunter World Iceborne. And yes, this is a DLC. It's releasing on the PS4 and the Xbox One, and it is releasing September 6th. The reason why I put this on the list is because Monster Hunter World is a game that I want to play. I have not played it at all, and I am very interested in playing it, and it looks like it would be a ton of fun. But I just haven't had time, and so I want to add this to the list because it's a game I haven't played. Now, this game looks absolutely amazing, and like I said, this is just a DLC, but it looks like it's going to be a great game. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I suggest you guys pick it up. I want to pick it up, but I don't know if I'm going to yet, just because of time. It looks like it's going to be fun. It looks like I will love it, but we'll just have to see when it comes out and if I pick it up and all that jazz. And the last but not least game is Gears 5, and this is coming out on the Xbox One, and it is coming out September 6th. Now, I haven't played Gears of War very much, but it's a fun game for what little I have, and Gears 5 looks like it's going to be yet another great looking game, and a game that you will definitely want to play if you are a Gears fan. Now, they changed it from Gears of War to just Gears, and maybe people care about that, maybe people don't. I don't really think it's a big deal just because of kind of how it is, but that's kind of the way it is. So those are kind of the games that I wanted you guys to know about, look forward to. They are releasing soon, and I think you will definitely like it. If you have an Xbox One, if you have a PS4, if you have a Switch, this list covers all of it. It's a game coming out on every system here. Now, I know there's a bunch more, and there's a bunch coming next week and the week after, and I'm really excited to talk about those. I almost talked about them today, but I decided this week only is what I wanted to talk about. But if you guys ever have games that you see that are releasing and I don't talk about it, make sure you comment down below if you're on YouTube or Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want to mention it. Make sure you do, tag me in it, let me know, and I will look at it. And maybe it's a game that I'll talk about in the future, like in next week's video, be like, hey, I missed this video game, and I wanted you guys to know about it because it looks very awesome. So I want to know what you guys think. Make sure you're interacting there. But we're going to move on to the next topic. And this is titled Becoming a 2DS Collector. And when I say 2DS Collector, I mean the Nintendo 2DS limited editions. Apparently, I'm going to start collecting them. And I say that because I've gotten a ton of them free. And I only have 2 that I want to show you because I don't want to quite release the others yet in video form. I have some to talk about that I haven't released yet, and I'm waiting on that. But just know I am becoming one. What I have here is the Zelda, not Majora's Mask. Which one is this? I'm trying to think. It is Ocarina of Time, I believe. I'll turn it on just to make sure. But this is the Zelda one. It's green with brown on it and yellow and buttons and whatnot. I'm going to power this thing on and figure out what it is. Oh, it is Ocarina of Time 3D. I could not remember what it was for some reason, but it's pretty great. I love the green. I love the yellow pop. I'm okay with the brown. I'm not sure if that's my favorite, but I do have that one, and I have it boxed. And then I talked about this one last week, Super Mario Maker 2DS. Now I got this one used, but I love it. I love that Mario on the front. It says Super Mario Maker on the back, and everything cool about that. But I will say I am becoming one. I talked with a coworker about this the other day and said, I've been picking these things up for cheap, like 30, 35 bucks. Anything less than 40, I'll pick up. Now, if it comes with a cord or if it comes with a box, I'm doing it. It's just a great deal, and honestly, these things look amazing. I love the different color schemes that they do. Here are 2 of them. If you're watching, you'll see 2 of them. If you're listening, just make sure you know that, yeah, I got some cool 2DSs and more to come. But I'm not going to release that yet. I don't want you to kind of spoil those. But it is happening, and I don't understand why. But I like the 2DS. It's simple. It's pretty comfortable in your hands, and it's pretty cheap. Now, I know all 3DS games, or at least most 3DS games, like 95% of them, work on the 2DS. And maybe that's the draw because it's a cheaper system. I'm going to make some cool limited editions. I'm not sure. But yes, that is happening, and I wanted to let you guys know because I thought it was pretty interesting. It was unplanned and just kind of happened, and it happened, and so I'm okay with it. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. Next is something that I wanted to talk about here, and we're kind of moving on pretty fast here. I've gotten through 3 topics and I got 7, so we're probably going to make this video shorter than the last one. But the podcast goes however long it needs to. I'm not stuck to it. It has to be an hour. It has to be 45 or 30 minutes. It is what it is. I'll come up with topics and we'll just kind of roll with it. If you guys want more topics, let me know and then we'll make this podcast longer. If you want it to be shorter, well, I'm sorry. We're just going to roll with it. But we're talking about the Nintendo Switch and eBay. This is pretty ridiculously crazy because the Nintendo Switch was actually pulled off of eBay because of something that it mentioned, and that is modding. Now, this is a listing that was very crazy because it was not modded. No one had modded it. The original seller, I guess is the original owner, they had this Switch. They said, hey, this is an early model. If you want it, you can mod it, but it hasn't been modded. It's just the regular Switch. And what has happened was, I guess it sent red flags to Nintendo, and Nintendo got with eBay and said, hey, take this down. And I think I wanted to talk about that because that is a little bit interesting. I think it is ridiculous that Nintendo has so much control that eBay is actually removing things for Nintendo, especially when it isn't breaking any of the rules. Now, the user who did this was quite confused because nothing that they had posted was illegal or against eBay's rules, but I guess Nintendo has more sway than that individual. And this is where I think Nintendo might need to relax a little bit, and they've been known to do this, and they've relaxed some for things like gameplay. They used to be like, if you record our gameplay and post it on YouTube, we are demonetizing you. You cannot make money. That is our IP and everything like that. Now, they've relaxed on that, and you can do that now, which is 100% awesome because I love playing Splatoon 2 live streams. Now, I don't get to do it as much as I wish, but it is there and you can do it now and be monetized. But this is kind of way worse. Nintendo has effectively stopped this person from selling their personal item because it was a Nintendo brand. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous. He didn't say this is modded. He didn't put any illegal games on it. He didn't have anything like that. He just mentioned, hey, if you want to do this, you can do this. It's not illegal to mod a Nintendo Switch. You can do it with it whatever you want. It is your console. You own it. So I think that is something that really bugs me here. And I think this is where Nintendo should have kind of stepped back and not done what they did. Because honestly, this could hurt their reputation. Now, Nintendo has a huge reputation, and they have a really good reputation, but stuff like this does not benefit them. Now they may think, oh, well, this will save us money or make us money because they'll have to buy another Switch and blah, 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 and they don't want people modding because then they can put ROMs on it and all that stuff. I understand that, but at the same time, I wish that they wouldn't do this. They need to kind of back away from that and kind of take a step back and say, hey, if people want to mod our systems, that is okay. But you gotta buy our systems, which means we're making money. And I think that's where this needs to kind of shift their focus. Now, the Nintendo Switch is a very awesome system. It has great abilities, and you can take it anywhere with you. You can take the Joy-Cons off and have a lot of fun. But I wish that Nintendo would kind of relax here because it just seems like they're kind of spending too much time worrying about something that they need to not worry about. Now, I understand you value your games, but at the same time, you've got to value that customer, and I think eBay's got to do the same thing. eBay is notorious for only caring about the buyer and not the seller, and that's why I do not like using it to actually sell stuff. Now, I will actually take stuff, and if I can't sell it other places, I will actually sell it on eBay. But that's like my last ditch effort. If I can't sell it at all and I want to do something with it, eBay is the last place I will look. But I'm just disappointed here because effectively as a seller for eBay, you have no guarantee, which is the reason I don't use it. You don't have a guarantee that that buyer is going to buy something, it's going to ship to them, they're going to get it and say, this isn't what I wanted, take pictures of something else, and then send it back to you. You have no protection from that. Now, I understand if you have pictures that you send and maybe work it out to where you get your money back, but I have actually had things that I have sent on eBay that have worked. The person gets it and says it doesn't work, and then they want their money back, and they never send the product back, which meant not only am I out the money that they sent me, I'm actually out of the product as well. And there is no seller protection there. And honestly, that is the biggest thing that kills me with eBay. They don't really care about their users or their sellers, I guess is the right word. And this is just another instance of that. eBay should have stepped up to Nintendo and said, hey, no, they are not doing anything wrong, nothing illegal. They can sell this on our platform. However, they pulled the product, and probably because Nintendo sells on there and makes money somehow with eBay, or eBay has a good relationship with Nintendo. I don't know all about that backroom deal stuff. I don't care about it. What I care about is how this looks, and it doesn't look good for Nintendo. So I am kind of disappointed here with both Nintendo and eBay, which I'm not surprised with eBay, honestly, but I'm very disappointed. So with that being said, it's about time to cut to a break, hit you up with some sponsors, hit you up with the Patreon, the Instagram, and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is cut it, take a break, step away, show you guys that, and then we'll cut back to it and have a bunch of fun going through the rest of this list. The sponsor of today's video is actually patreon.com/retrovideogamepickups. So if you want to donate to this channel, that is the way to do it. Now, if you go over to patreon.com/retrovideogamepickups, you will see that there are 3 tiers, and if you sign up, you will get access to early channel videos or potentially up to a shirt, depending on what level you go to. So if you want to hit that up, go check it out. Also, there is a Discord server. Down below in the description is a link for that as well. Also, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Check those out as well. Facebook.com/retrovideogamepickups. Twitter is RVGP Reviews, and Instagram is Retro Video Game Pickups as well. So if you're interested in any of that, go check that out. With that being said, let's head back to the podcast. Okay, so we are back from break, and honestly, I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about with you guys still left. Now, if you notice the camera has changed, if you're watching that, that's because we had some problems with it during the break, and so I wanted to kind of adjust it a little bit, and it ended up being adjusted. And so if you notice that, don't comment below and tell me. I know it happened, and I'm sorry about that. But if you're listening, you don't really care, so that's very cool. But I wanted to say, welcome back from the break. I am excited to talk about some of these topics here coming up. Now, there's some games that I want to talk about that we are going to get to that are going to be very awesome. And then we're going to end it up with Popeyes like we did the last podcast because we've got some new information. But this is going to be a fun way to end the podcast, and I'm very excited about it. Now, this first one is Lion King and Aladdin coming out on the Nintendo Switch. They announced it. I'm very, very excited about this. This looks like something I am going to love because I love taking retro games and putting them on the Switch and going anywhere. If you watch the channel, you probably know I love to talk about the Nintendo Switch and how it goes anywhere. You can take it on the go and have fun. And I think taking some awesome Disney games from back in the day and bringing them to today on the Switch is just absolutely amazing, and I'm super duper stoked for this. This looks totally great. The games are both awesome. I love both of these games, but I want to kind of describe how these are going to come about and what you can expect from these. Now, it is Lion King and Aladdin, and it looks like they're going to be together. Now, that might not be the case, but it's still kind of up to however it's going to be released, but it looks like they are coming together, and that is pretty cool. Now, what you're going to get with the Lion King version is you're going to get the Genesis version, you're going to get the Game Boy version, and you're going to get the Super Nintendo version. So Lion King is going to come out with 3 versions, and then Aladdin is going to have that Genesis and the Game Boy version. So that is a little bit confusing, but it's actually very cool. You're getting 3 versions of Lion King and 2 versions of Aladdin, and I think that is very awesome. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think are the better versions, and that is only because of nostalgia or playing it or whatever over time. I am not saying that these are the definitive better versions. I'm just saying these are what I think are the better versions. And Lion King is on the Super Nintendo. I'm very excited they included this version on the kind of the announcement and everything, but that's very cool because I enjoyed the Super Nintendo version better. I played it more, and so that's kind of why it's on my list. And then for Aladdin, it's got to be that Genesis version. I'm very stoked about that. I love Aladdin on the Genesis. I think it's one of my favorite games that I remember playing as a kid and playing now, and honestly, I love everything about that, and this is going to be super awesome. I want to know what you think, so hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube, down below, any of that, check it out and let me know what you think. I'm very excited because, honestly, these are games that are very great games that I loved as a kid, but I can play them on the go with my Switch. Now, if you have a Sega Nomad like I do, you can play these on the go, but this is the way to do it, actually. I want that remastered version. I want it to look better, feel better, and everything like that, and so I am super duper stoked about that. Next, we are talking about Yakuza 7 and the April Fool's joke that actually turned out to be real. Now, Yakuza 7, they released a trailer kind of video about it on April Fool's or April 1st and talked about it being turn-based, and people were thinking it was a joke. Well, it's apparently going to be real, and I think that is very interesting. Now, it is going to be turn-based, like I said, and I think there is a reason for that. I think the reason is that the Japanese people like to play turn-based games. If you look at Final Fantasy games, if you look at all those JRPGs, they tend to be more turn-based, and that's a very awesome thing. Now, some people don't like turn-based, and I understand why they don't like it, but I enjoy turn-based, and it's very fun if it's done properly. So I'm not too worried about this, but I can see why people are a little bit upset, a little bit irritated, because this is something that they could love, but now it is definitely changing. So I wanted to talk about that. It looks like this is releasing in January in Japan, but in like China and Korea, if I remember correctly. But there's a launch in 2020 for the US and European version, but we don't know when yet, which is very interesting, but we'll see how it kind of does in Japan. Now, Yakuza is something that is basically based in Japanese culture, but looks like they're going to release it there first to see how it does, and then I'm assuming they'll move it to the US eventually. Next, I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch Lite. Now, I talked about this last episode. I kind of want to get it set up because this is coming out not this week, but at the end of next week, I believe, if my dates are correct. And I want to talk about this a little bit. Now, a lot of people I have seen comment say, hey, that's not a Nintendo Switch if you can't switch it onto your home dock. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I understand that. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that this is changing that aren't Switch related, like the Joy-Cons. You can't switch the Joy-Cons on and off. That's okay to me. Like, this is solely a portable console that plays those great games. Now, I love that the new processor is in this, and the battery is going to be better, but I don't think people quite understand it. I think the Switch Lite is perfect for people who can't afford the $300. $200 is a solid deal. Now, I am going to get one of these. If you watched the last podcast or listened to it, you know that I talked about the Switch Lite and how I used GameStop's last recent trade-in deal to get $100 in trade credit. Well, what I'm going to do is take that trade credit and actually use it towards the Nintendo Switch Lite, which is a totally awesome thing. Now, I sold a few other things, and so I'm pretty sure I have enough money to get the Switch Lite. Now, I need to kind of dig into what accessories I want for the Switch Lite, and I will be talking about that either on the channel or in a podcast in the future, obviously. But I want you guys to know that I'm picking one up day one, and I will make a video that day. We'll see how it goes. If I will work that day or not, I'm not sure yet, but I will be putting that video out. So I want you guys to be prepared that yes, I am getting a Switch on release day, and I will be putting up a video for you to watch about it. So I wanted to talk about that just a little bit because I thought people were kind of underestimating the Switch Lite, but I think this is going to be a great thing. Now, I think of the Switch Lite to the Nintendo as I do that 2DS to the 3DS. We talked about this earlier, about the 2DS, but I love how the 2DS is smaller. Somewhat, it fits in your hand. It doesn't fold, but that's okay. But the price point is almost half, which is absolutely amazing. Used ones you can find for $40. Even the limited edition, kind of special edition ones, you can find for cheaper. So I think you definitely have to pick this up and have fun with it because, I mean, it's cheap. The Nintendo Switch Lite is $200. That's $100 off the original Nintendo Switch. Now, I know you can't put Joy-Cons and anything like that, but I think you will have a ton of fun. It looks like it's going to be smaller, more portable, and that is something I absolutely love. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not getting rid of my original Day 1 Switch, and my wife has one as well. We're not getting rid of those, but we are going to get at least one Nintendo Switch Lite. Maybe I'll get that Pokemon one in the future. I don't know. We'll talk about that when it comes to it. But I wanted to talk about how the Nintendo Switch Lite is kind of being underrated, I feel like. People are talking down on it. I think it's going to be a system that comes out and people are really going to fall in love with it. So we talked about gaming stuff. I wanted to talk about one last thing, and that is Popeyes related. Like, Popeyes, if you listen to the last podcast or you watched the last podcast, we talked about Popeyes and Chick-fil-A butting heads. Their Twitter war was crazy. It was pretty funny, and I loved everything about it. It was awesome to see them feuding and trying to kind of lift them both up in the news. I mean, Chick-fil-A benefited from this. Popeyes benefited from this. So both these companies are doing well because of this. But something hilarious happened. Popeyes was so surprised by this running of people running out to their store to get a Popeyes chicken sandwich that they actually ran out of chicken sandwiches, which I think is funny but good for them. This is something that I think Popeyes didn't expect to be as huge of a deal as it is. Now, Chick-fil-A has some good chicken sandwiches. Don't get me wrong, they have good chicken sandwiches. These Popeyes sandwiches, especially that spicy one, looks absolutely amazing. Now, I will say I tried to get one, but they had already sold out. And when I went to the store, there were literally like 30 or 40 signs all around the building. Like every 3 feet, there was a sign that says, "We are out of the chicken sandwiches. Sorry for the inconvenience." You walk a few more feet, there'd be another one. And so we drove around the parking lot. We ended up getting some chicken that was actually pretty good, but it wasn't the chicken sandwich. So I haven't tried it yet, but I will in the future. I'm definitely wanting to, and when I do, I will let you guys know because I wanted to bring it to you in this podcast and say, hey, I tried this. Yes, it's good. No, it's not. Whatever. I wanted to get to it. But I think Chick-fil-A benefited from this just as much as Popeyes because I heard a lot of people going to Popeyes, getting both sandwiches, and then going to Chick-fil-A and getting both sandwiches. And Chick-fil-A has the supply, and it looked like Popeyes didn't. So I thought that was very interesting. Now, what I will say is the supply was supposed to be until October for those sandwiches. So Popeyes was not expecting this to be as good as it was. They ran out in 2 weeks what was supposed to be a 6-week supply. And that is nationwide, not just in my area. There are news and everything talking about this. And I think maybe this has benefited Popeyes even more. People are wanting to get this sandwich, and if the supply is not there, the demand goes up. There were people talking about selling the sandwich in order for other people to try them, like literally marking them up and reselling it. A sandwich. That is how much and how crazy that this Popeyes thing has blown up. Now their Twitter game is on point, and same with Chick-fil-A. I love them kind of arguing back and forth because that benefits both of them and it gets them news. Like, I'm talking about it in this podcast. They have a ton of people talking about it. Everyone I work with has at least mentioned it or has been in a conversation about it. And so I think Popeyes is really benefiting from that. So I think it's very good for both corporations, both things. And the really funny thing is, Popeyes was like, we even serve it on Sundays. And Chick-fil-A's like, well, I guess they got us there. But I think this is very awesome. Now, I've seen people saying Popeyes is better. And I don't know. I want to see what it's like because I've seen reactions of people and how they really, really enjoyed it. And then other people are just like, it's a sandwich, okay, whatever. So I'm very interested in checking it out for myself. And I want to know if you have tried it. Comment down below if you're on YouTube or hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I know I've been saying that, but I want to know what you guys think. I want your interaction, and that can help build this podcast and build this community around this channel as a whole of retro video game pickups. I want to know what you think about it. So that was my last topic of the day, and I kind of wanted to run down all of it with you guys because this is a Monday. It is Labor Day, and we had a bunch of fun. We talked about some cool pickups that I had. We talked about games releasing. We talked about somehow I'm becoming a 2DS collector. We talked about the Switch getting pulled off of eBay. Not all of them, but a certain one. We talked about Lion King and Aladdin on the Switch, which is going to be absolutely phenomenal. The Yakuza 7 April Fool's joke turned out to be real, which is very great. How underrated the Nintendo Switch Lite is going to be, and Popeyes running out of their blessed or sacred chicken sandwich. So, with that being said, I want to say thank you so much for watching or listening or however you're enjoying this. I hope you find this entertaining. Let me know if you do or don't. I want to know your feedback. But with that being said, I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. So, with that being said, one last time, thank you so much, and make sure you have a good day.